The young woman stood in the enormous chamber, feeling the weight of endless piles of straw around her. A chill spread through her, and she could almost feel the cold stone beneath her feet pulling her deeper into despair. How could she possibly do this again? She had already given away her most valuable possession. The king's cruel gaze lingered in her memory, and she knew there was no mercy in his heart. The pressure of the task seemed unbearable. Just as she began to lose hope, she heard a soft creak from the shadows. The small, peculiar figure emerged once more. His eyes, a strange amber color, shimmered with an unsettling familiarity as he studied her, seeing the fear written across her face. "What troubles you now, my dear?" he asked, his voice smooth, yet filled with knowing. "I can't do it," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The king has ordered me to turn even more straw into gold, but I have nothing left to give." The little man chuckled softly, his crooked grin spreading wider. "Nothing left, you say? Perhaps there is more to you than you think." Desperation surged within her. She searched her pockets, her clothing, but found nothing of value. She was left with only one thing, a small, precious ring, a family heirloom passed down through generations. Her fingers trembled as she took it off, the last piece of her legacy that she could part with. "This is all I have," she said softly, placing the ring in his outstretched hand. He accepted it without a word. Swiftly, he climbed onto the stool and set the spinning wheel into motion with a rapid precision. Within moments, the room was filled with golden light, as the straw transformed into gleaming gold before her eyes. When the king returned at dawn, his delight was evident. "Impressive," he exclaimed, running his fingers through the golden strands, but his greed never relented. "Now, prove your skill again," he ordered, escorting her to an even larger chamber, filled with an unimaginable amount of straw. "Do it again," he commanded, slamming the door behind him with a resounding thud. Alone in the vast chamber, the girl collapsed to her knees, tears welling up in her eyes. What could she give now? She was completely empty. Just as she thought all hope was lost, she heard a familiar voice. "What's troubling you, my dear?" the little man asked, his eyes glowing softly from the shadows. "I have nothing left," she sobbed. "How can I possibly do this again?" The little man observed her for a long moment, before a smile crept across his face. A plan began to form in his mind. "If you truly wish for my help again, there's something I will need in return. A promise, a real one, something more valuable than all you've given before." With no other option, the girl nodded, though confusion clouded her thoughts. "I promise," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I will give you anything if you help me now." The little man extended his hand, his eyes gleaming with a knowing smile. "Then we have a deal." Without wasting a moment, he got to work once again, his hands moving so quickly that the girl struggled to keep up. Gold spun effortlessly from the straw, and the room was bathed in a glow so intense, it was as though the world itself had been turned to pure gold. As dawn broke, the king rushed into the room, his greed consuming him. He gazed at the piles of gold, but still, his satisfaction was incomplete. There was something more he desired, something far more sinister. The girl's fate, bound to the mysterious little man, hung in the balance. But what else would she have to offer? What would she lose this time? For 3 long days, the queen's messengers searched the kingdom, scouring every village and town, hoping to uncover the true identity of the strange little man. With each passing day, her hope dwindled, and the weight of her promise felt unbearable. Meanwhile, the little man appeared time and time again, his grin widening, his amber eyes sparkling with delight. He relished in the queen's growing desperation, knowing that the hour was drawing near. On the 3rd day, just as the queen was ready to give up, one of her messengers returned with surprising news. "Your Majesty," the messenger said, "I've heard of a peculiar man living deep in the forest. They say he dances around a fire and sings a strange song. Some believe his name is something truly unusual, but none know for sure." A flicker of hope sparked in the queen's heart. She dismissed the messenger and rushed to her chambers. That evening, when the little man arrived, his usual smug smile in place, the queen had a final plan in mind. "Tell me your name," the queen demanded boldly, her voice firm. The little man chuckled, stepping closer with his mischievous grin. "Guess, my dear, guess," he said, his eyes dancing with challenge. The queen took a steady breath and spoke the name she had learned from the messenger, Rumpelstiltskin. For a long moment, silence fell between them. Then, with a sharp intake of breath, The little man's face contorted in fury. His eyes flared with disbelief, and his grin faltered. "No!" he hissed, stamping his foot with such force that the very ground beneath them trembled. "You've guessed it. No one has ever guessed my name." In a wild fit of rage, he struck the ground so hard that the earth shook. The queen stood motionless, her heart pounding as she realized she had won. In his fury, the little man vanished in a flash, leaving behind nothing but a swirl of smoke. The queen's heart swelled with joy, but a shadow of relief accompanied it. She had saved her child, and the price of the deal had been paid. The king, still unaware of the true cost of her ascent to power, celebrated their newfound family, and the kingdom flourished under their reign. But for the queen, there was always a lesson that lingered in her heart. Greed, no matter how dazzling it may seem, always carries a price, one that cannot be fully avoided, no matter how careful one is in making a bargain. As the years passed, the queen's reign grew even stronger. She ruled the kingdom with wisdom and compassion, always mindful of the dark past that had shaped her. The memory of Rumpelstiltskin and the terrible price she had almost paid for her rise to power remained etched in her mind. Her child, now a young prince, was beloved by the people, and the kingdom thrived under their stewardship. The queen often spoke of the importance of humility, hard work, and the dangers of greed. The people respected her, not just for her wisdom and beauty, but for her strength in overcoming the temptation of a deal that could have cost her everything. Though years brought peace and prosperity, the queen never allowed herself to forget the little man who had nearly claimed everything from her. She would often wander through the palace gardens, lost in reflection on how strange and unexpected her life had become. The sweet scent of roses and the sound of birdsong offered her comfort, but a small part of her remained watchful. Her story became a cautionary tale, told throughout the kingdom and beyond. Parents would share it with their children, warning them that no deal, no matter how tempting, was ever worth the cost of one's soul, one's future, or the life of a loved one. Now an elder, the queen would sit by the hearth at night, recounting her tale to her son and anyone who would listen. "Remember," she would say, her voice steady but soft, "some bargains come with hidden costs. Beware of those who promise everything, for they may take everything in return." As decades passed, the kingdom continued to thrive under the reign of the wise and just queen. The memory of the trickster faded into legend, and the name Rumpelstiltskin was lost to time. Yet deep in the queen's heart, she knew that she had outwitted fate itself, and that some lessons were never forgotten. And so, the kingdom thrived, always mindful of the lesson of the girl who had turned her fate around, and the name that had brought the downfall of the wicked little man.